Hello everybody, welcome to my third video, and in this video I'll be doodling the whole time. So to be honest, the first time I came across this type of drawing was watching Peter Draws, and he's a very famous, well I mean as much as a famous art channel on YouTube gets. A very famous channel, and at first thought, I gotta be honest, at first glance, it didn't seem much fun to me or interesting or something like that, to just be aimlessly scribbling on the paper, drawing lines, shapes, dots and other stuff. But as I was preparing for an exam, I had I kinda got inspiration, you know how that goes, right as you're about to go to learn or to lay down with the book in your hand, you think to yourself, "Ooh, maybe I should draw. I feel like drawing," because when you need to study, everything else feels much more interesting. And yeah, that's how the first thought came to my mind to even try doodling. And so I did. At first, my first doodle was it didn't look like anything, because I soon realized that you can't just draw random lines and expect them to look like something, because when you start out, it's best to start out with like a composition in mind. You don't need to follow it fully, but you should start out from you should always have a composition in the back of your mind. Because if you have too much black spaces or too much white spaces, your picture will not look so balanced. Or if you have too much detail places and spaces and too much blank spaces, as I said, white or black, your picture might not look that well balanced. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. When you're doodling, you're just doing it because it's fun and because you don't want to study. But basically in doodling you have a couple of patterns you just gotta get used to doing. And I mean, you don't get used to them, but you used to doing them, but you kind of subconsciously use them, because they most of the time can fill out space when space needs to be filled. There are a lot of techniques you could fill out the paper, like stapling, then cross-hatching, then just shading with your liner, ink, roller pen or fountain pen, whatever you have. So with that in mind, doodling is not just I mean, to me at least, it's not just aimlessly putting lines on a piece of paper. That would be more like scribbling or something. It's not as random as you might think, because even some artists, when they say I didn't think much about what I was doing, maybe you didn't consciously think much about what you were doing, but subconsciously there's always like composition in your mind. You subconsciously want your art to look aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, that's something. And with that in mind, doodling is actually much more beneficial to you than you would actually think, because by doing all those repetitive lines and patterns and stuff like that, you actually train your hand to be more precise, to be more relaxed, and to be more secure and confident with your lines. And I mean, by doing doodles like this, it's not like you are putting a small amount of time into them, because I don't know, this one took me like 2 hours maybe, and it's not a really small amount of time, but compared to some other projects which I did, which were like 30 to 40 hours on big canvases, which reminds me I should take a smaller paper next time. This is A4 international paper size. I don't know how much that means to any Americans out there or anybody else. Yeah, so doodling, it's good for you. If you don't know what to draw, you don't know which medium you want to use, just take the best pen, liner pen, ink pen, or just any kind of pen really, and just start out scribbling. Maybe try to copy some of my lines that I use, some of the shapes that I use to fill out the space, and at the end of the day, it might not look like anything as was my first doodle that I did, but it will help you relax. It will take your mind off things. You can listen to music, as I always do, doodling, and you can just, you know, scribble on the paper without any thoughts, without being scared or something like that. And another thing that doodling is good for is it forces you to make mistakes. It forces you to make mistakes so you can find out a creative way to correct them. And that's one of the fun challenges with doodles is that those mistakes kind of steer the direction in which your doodle is going, because sometimes you gotta make the whole canvas black and then use some acrylic paint or something if you screwed up too much. But yeah, again, don't be afraid to use bigger markers to fill out black spaces. Use differing line weights. That's also really important if you want to emphasize some shape or form. It's important to to outline it with a bit thicker lines. So all in all, doodling, yeah. At the beginning I wasn't much of a fan of it, but now I'm getting more and more sucked into it as time goes by. So yeah, I would encourage you to try it and let me know what you think about it, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.